All right, so I want to talk about the lawsuit that's going on between France and Argentina right now, their football teams, over this racist Argentina football chant. Just because I honestly I find this whole lawsuit to be pretty hilarious. Obviously it's a serious issue, and it's interesting because it's such a global important issue that's going on in the world right now, but it's just happening in such a ridiculous way, and I want to point out the irony of the not the irony, what I find funny about it. So basically, Argentina. So first of all, Argentina and France, for people who don't know, played each other in the World Cup a few years ago. Argentina beat France, and so recently a video surfaced where the Argentinian players had this chant. And by the way, just as some background, football chants are some of the most disgusting, vile chants known to man. They really football chants really cross the line. In the past decade or so, they've been tamping it down. But if you look at some football chants from the 1980s and 1990s, they are just straight up evil, right? So it's not like this is coming out of nowhere. It is that historically, football fans have chosen the football fans, when it comes to chants, are basically high school bullies where they choose the one thing you're most insecure about and chant at you about that. They make comments about some people's nose, about someone's wife leaving them. They have, in an old Maradona documentary, I saw a football chant where the Napoli players were coming to the north of Italy, and southern Italy has this reputation of being more dirty and poor than northern Italy. So the northern Italian fans would chant at the southern Italian fans, "Go wash yourself, wash yourself, wash yourself with the fires of Vesuvius," basically saying kill yourself, right? So again, they football chants in general are just cross a lot of lines, and that's the history to it. But anyway, the Argentina football fans had this chant where I forgot the exact words. I was looking it up, but I don't want to. It doesn't even really matter. Basically, they're saying your players are from Cameroon, your players are from Mali. You're not actually a French football team. This is an African football team, right? And if you look at the French football team, right, and so just the first part about this that I find interesting is the different abilities for people to talk about this issue, right? Because right now, as Europe specifically is facing a lot of immigration, the question of what constitutes a French identity is becoming very paramount, because it's now becoming a huge political issue, right? Just for Americans watching this, one of the different, my family's from Poland. One of the differences between American identity and European identity is that Ronald Reagan had this sentence about America where he said, "America is the only country whose identity is based upon an idea, not your bloodline," right? But that also means that a lot of countries' identities are built on bloodlines. A lot of countries are nation states, right? Where you have a nationality of being French, which comes with it thousands of years of history, and other people coming in is a question of are they Mali French? Are they French citizens but not French nationals? You have that entire question swirling around, right? Now the thing is though, so the Argentinians who point out the composition of the team, we're calling it violent racist, right? Okay. This is a joke from Trevor Noah on The Daily Show from when France won the World Cup in 2018.
Say it.
Yes! Yes, I'm so excited. Africa won the World Cup. 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 I mean, look, I get it. They have to say it's the French team, but look at those guys, huh? Look at those guys. You don't get that tan by hanging out in the south of France, my friends. Basically, if you don't understand, France is Africa's backup team, right? Once Senegal and Nigeria got knocked out, that's who we root for. It's like when Paul Simon wins a Grammy, we're like, yes, we'll take that too. Thank you very much. In other news, it seems like pizza magnet.
So literally the same exact comment with this same exact picture that the Argentinians were making about the French team, that they're not actually French, they are African. When they say it, it's racist. But when people say that in support of that idea, it's not racist, right? So like you have this huge double standard, which is the first level of comedy in my opinion. But it's actually it doesn't really get that funny yet. So let's keep ratcheting it up. So in response to the lawsuit, Argentina's vice president Victoria Villarreal said, no colonialist country is going to intimidate us for a football song or for telling the truth that they do not want to admit. Stop feigning indignation, hypocrites. Enzo, I'm with you. So basically, so Argentina is a former colony. France is a former colonizer. And so the second level of comedy is that this former colony is basically saying, wait, you're hectoring us about racism, about colonialism, when you literally colonize people, and Argentina hasn't ever colonized anybody his entire history, right? So you have this situation here where it's kind of like a version of where we see now in America, where Latinos and a lot of African Americans are beginning to break and vote for Trump, and you have a lot of suburban white women who are calling people who vote for Trump racist, right? So like you have this former colonial power lecturing a former colony about racism, right? And about, the evils of, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So that adds like, to me, that's the most hilarious part, right? It is a former colonizer suing a former colony for being racist. And then the part about it that also makes it even more funny, I think, is that like they do have a point. Like Argentina itself as a former colony is actually, I don't say like racist, but like it is a very white country. And apparently, like I don't know the history, but like apparently there's a dark history about like how it came to that way. But like the funniest part about it also is that Argentina is actually more white than France. So you have this former colony who's being sued for racism by a former colonizer, and the former colony is actually whiter than that former colonizer. Then you also have an added history of Argentina as being a safe haven for Nazis after World War II. But you could also make the same argument back to France, that France was a safe haven for Nazis during World War II, and they actually collaborated, and they actually were pretty pro-Nazi. Don't say that around a French person; they don't like to hear that. Anyway, like I think like what's gonna happen is probably Argentina's can get some sort of fine or censure. They might have to like pay some sort of money, but I just think that like in the spectacle around these issues that we're seeing nowadays, this is kind of like a distillation of like the funniest possible version of all these events, of everybody on every side being pretty hypocritical, being pretty terrible, and yeah, it's just hilarious in my opinion.